what we have in the United States is the result of internal American political struggle. Unfortunately, Ukraine became a hostage in this internal political struggle.
What is your assessment of President Zelensky at this point, the middle of December 2023? How would you describe your view of him?
It's a good question. I'm a opposition MP, but starting from the beginning of full-scale invasion, we were trying to be as much united as possible. And I was telling always that I can be in opposition to President Zelensky, but I can't be in opposition to Commander-in-Chief Zelensky. So I try to do my best to support his efforts in the protection of our country. But yes, I can agree, and that's unfortunately a fact that we have authoritarian tendencies in the country, and President Zelensky is becoming more authoritarian, which is not good, and that is something which should be stopped.
What is the evidence of his growing authoritarianism? What would you highlight?
Parliament is very much marginalized. Parliament is closed. No journalists, no guests, no journalists are allowed. There is no live translations like it was for all years of independent Ukraine. We don't have questions and answer sessions with the government. But in general, if to say, like all decisions in the country are made by just two people, President Zelensky and his chief of staff, Andriy Yermak. That is just two people who are deciding everything. Yes, it's a martial law time, but I mean, like Zelensky was compared with Churchill, especially in the beginning of this full-scale invasion. But what Churchill did in May 1940, when he became prime minister, he invited opposition. He made Mr. Attlee to be his deputy, and he united all opposition. What was made in Israel, where after Hamas attack, they invited opposition to the government. So Zelensky also should create the government of national unity, what I think would be the best. But he didn't do this. Instead of this, he's marginalizing opposition. He pressures, there is a problem with leaving the country for opposition representatives. Also, freedom of media is limited because all TV is united in one national teleton controlled by the government. And for example, I'm much more often on Times Radio, BBC, or I don't know, other British media than on national teleton of Ukraine because I am opposition. And only ruling party is invited there. Local government is under pressure. So there is a number of facts which shows that we have problems. I can't say that it is already like a huge problem, but it's clearly tendencies which should be stopped to develop.
And do you, with all of that in mind, Oleksy, and thank you for the clarity there, with all of that in mind, do you doubt President Zelensky's intention, which one would assume is what is best for Ukraine and what is best to aid Ukraine's effort in fighting Russia to the point where this war can end? Do you still believe that is his intention with all that he is doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that President Zelensky is patriot and he wants for the country the best. Other question is that you can want the best, but the reality can be different because it's also about strategy. It's also about what we are doing. And the country needs this debate. And unfortunately, we don't have it. And as I told you, one person, even two people, can't just do everything. And that is a part of the problem that Ukraine has today. But I believe in his good intentions, absolutely. But good intentions, there is this famous wording that good intentions, by good intentions, the road to hell can be paved.
Yeah.
So that is something which unfortunately can happen. And democracy in Ukraine is our strength. And debates in democracies are the key point. And that's something we need to secure in order to make right decisions, but not just to have good intentions.
Yeah. In terms then of, I suppose, the impact that all of this is having, Oleksy, so good intentions, perhaps a concern about authoritarian tendencies in some ways. Do you think that is having an impact on things like getting additional funding, which has clearly been a struggle in this last week when it came to the US and the EU, for example? Is that the kind of real life implication, or is that something else, do you think?
For the moment, it's not. It could become, but for the moment, it's not. What we have in the United States is the result of internal American political struggle. Unfortunately, Ukraine became a hostage in this internal political struggle. But partly what I could say that also working with our partners, including the most important partner, the United States, we need also to have another strategy. For a long time, it was just a one-man show of Mr. Zelensky, which does not work anymore. And much more broad coalition and work should be used. Oh, taking the United Kingdom. Ukrainian ambassador to the UK was sacked. Uh, it looks like because he was a little bit critical to president, and that's also, by the way, showing these tendencies, autocratic tendencies. And still, we don't have a new ambassador in the United Kingdom already for several months, and even almost for half year. And the United Kingdom is a crucial ally for Ukraine, absolutely crucial. So that shows us again that just two people can't run such big country in such very difficult situation.